My name is Ellen. In August 27, 2020, I was living in Lake Charles, Louisiana when Hurricane Laura hit. Several hurricanes were supposed to hit approximately the same day in the region, but Hurricane Laura just kept building, bigger, stronger, faster, aiming right for Lake Charles. When the hurricane came in, it hit the coast at 75 miles an hour. But the 30 miles between Lake Charles and the coast has eroded so much that there's so much water in those marshes now that the hurricane built up speed. Usually a hurricane, as soon as it hits land, it decreases speed. This one increased to 175 miles an hour when it hit the port of Lake Charles. We had to evacuate. I was living with my mother. We piled into the van and we drove 200 miles north. So we got to our hotel. We had so much anxiety because we had really no idea what was happening. The hurricane reached its way up to where we were staying. We knew it was bad, but we had no idea how bad. We decided to go back home and we headed south. And the destruction was unfathomable. Buildings collapsed, trees everywhere, power lines down. And we were still 45 miles north. When we get to Lake Charles, we're going down our street and we had to drive around all the pine trees, all the power lines. And we're like, oh my God, we have no idea what we're going to find. We had, little trees that came down, nothing major. So we were lucky enough that we had a place to live. All of our neighbors were not that lucky, and they decided to drive off to where relatives lived. We get everyone inside. The first thing you notice is the humidity is unbearable. You take 3 feet and you just feel like you're going to pass out. And you're just drenched in sweat. Your hair is soaked. Your clothes are soaked. You feel like you can't breathe. You are exhausted. And the amount of water you drink is just a mind blow. There's no water because when all the trees were uprooted, they took the water pipelines with them. We have no electricity. We have no water. Your cell phones don't work either because the hurricane broke those towers in half. You can't get cell service. And you can't get any news. The rest of the country can see what's going on. But when you're living there, you don't know what's going on except for what you see around you. And our neighbors were fantastic. They would leave, sleep somewhere, and they'd always bring us these huge cases of water. You can't cook. You can't keep anything cold. You're very limited on what you can eat. I was unemployed because of COVID, and then I had broken my leg. So I had been out of work for quite some time. I decided to take a drive around, and every other building was gone or was in such disarray, it would take months to repair it. There's no way I can get a job in this city. There's nothing here. 98% of all buildings were destroyed. So all your grocery stores, they had no food because everyone cleaned them out before, but most of them are non-existent. There's no building. So you can't buy food. Everything is demolished. It's very traumatizing to see something like that because we are in a society that's so dependent on electricity and the internet and information, and food is at our fingertips. It's mind-blowing when you cannot get gas for your car. You cannot get food, ice, water. You don't know what's going on because you have no electricity to get cell service. You can't get the internet. You're in this place that is so foreign. When it came to the third day, I'm really worried about my mother. She's 80 years old, and she's not breathing very well. I sent a message to all my cousins throughout the country and said, we can't stay here for 3 months. They're telling us we may not have water for 3 months. We may not have electricity for 3 months. We're still dealing with COVID. My cousins came through, so we've got the arrangements to leave. My mom goes to Tennessee. I go to Oregon. We're driving through. When I hit New Mexico, there was all the wildfire smoke. I go through Nevada. It starts getting thicker. I get up towards Reno, Nevada. It is so thick you just can't even see. And then I get into California. I get on I-5, and it is so smoky that you can only see 5 feet in front of your car. I have my 2 cats cats with me, and one is 15 years old, and he's wheezing. And I'm like, oh my God, the smoke is coming in through the vents of my air conditioner. And I'm seeing where all these fires are breaking out, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going through these regions. I hope I can make it. I don't know if they're going to shut down the interstate. I do get through it all, but the smoke is all encompassing. You just cannot escape it. I get to my destination. The next morning I wake up and I look out the window and it looks like hell. And we go outside and it looks like the fire is right there because the sky is so red. But the fire was about 90 miles away. I just moved to this place. I just evacuated from a 175 mile an hour hurricane, and here I am. People are evacuating and they're showing these photos of everything being destroyed by these fires. My anxiety is off the charts. So I had to move to my new home. I'm living with someone else. I'm so grateful for her, but it's not my own space. It took me a few months to get a job. I've got a job, but I can't handle it. My anxiety is so high. I've had to double anxiety medication. I'm missing work. I feel like I'm just going to start crying. I'm shaking. And I think it's PTSD. When you look at the news, you think, it's just wind. It's just rain. It's just flooding. But we're talking a whole area that has about 200,000 people that was destroyed. We're in this. This is it. We are experiencing what they warned us about 20 years ago. How many different natural disasters are happening concurrent to each other? This is what they warned us about, and it's here. So think about when you're watching the news of the things you didn't hear about, how it's really affecting people's lives. We got to get it together. That's my story. Thank you for listening.